The latest version of Betaflight, Betaflight 2025.12, broke something about the way that I use turtle mode. In this video, I'm going to show you what it broke, and I'm going to show you how I fixed it. And in case you're thinking, well, I'm fine with how turtle mode works, I don't need to watch this video. This is not just a video about fixing turtle mode. It's a video about how to program your controller, your EdgeTX controller, how to program it to get around little situations like this. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. First, let me show you what the problem is, then I'll show you how I fixed it. And in order to demonstrate the problem, let's go back to Betaflight 451. And this problem comes up when you use momentary switches to activate turtle mode. Let me demonstrate. I'm going to hold down the momentary switch, and you'll see that when I do, the flip crash mode turns yellow, meaning it's activated. Then I'm going to flip the arming switch, and Betaflight will arm. And then what I usually do at this point is I release the flip crash switch, and the way that it has always worked is that Betaflight will stay in flip crash mode. You see, the drone is still armed, it's still in flip crash mode, even though the flip crash mode has technically been disabled because I released that button. That's the way it's always worked for me. Then when I disarm, now nothing, I'm disarmed, and when I rearm, now I'm armed the normal way. So my normal method of doing flip crash has been, I crashed, hold down the button, arm, flip myself over, disarm, rearm, good to go. Now I've flashed the drone to Betaflight 2025.12. Let's see how the behavior is different. And if we were to just look at the modes tab, we wouldn't think the behavior was any different. I hold down flip crash, I flip the arm switch, now we're armed, I release flip crash, and the flip crash mode disappears. But do you see how that something has changed? I am now no longer armed either. Watch. Flip crash, arm, great. Turtle mode working. As soon as I release that momentary switch, it disarms me. And I have to disarm. So, what do I do? Well, I could just keep holding that switch while I turtle mode. No, that's dumb. I shouldn't have to do that. I could put turtle mode on one of these 3-position switches so that then I turtle mode and then I arm, and now the switch stays in that position. But the whole reason I'm doing this is because, I'm sure it would make a lot of sense to put it on a 3-position switch, but there I'm using those switches for something else. And anyway, I like the way that I was doing it. There's only so many things that kind of make sense to be on a momentary switch. One of them is a beeper. Beep, 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 release. And the other one is turtle mode. You just hold turtle mode down, flip, do your thing. It makes so much sense. So what we can do is we can reprogram EdgeTX to fix this problem. Now, if you just want to see the solution for how to set this up, here it is. You can just screen grab that and copy that into your logical switches. In this logic, SE is your arm switch, and SG is your momentary turtle mode switch. But I'd like to walk you through how I came up with this logic and how I think about building a logical switch, because I think that's actually the real value of this lesson. But if you're just here to solve the problem, there it is. There's the solution. And we'll start in the logical switches screen whenever we're going to try to build some like if this then that logic. And I always just like to start by thinking, what is it that I'm trying to do? What I need to happen is that when I hold down switch SG and hit the arm switch at the same time, then the SG channel stays held even if I release switch SG until when? Like, what's the stop? That's our sort of start condition. When I hold SG and flip the arm switch, then SG stays held even after I release SG until I disarm. That's our sort of logical conditions. And now we just have to build that into the language of the logical switches. So the first logical switch is going to tell me when I am armed and holding the turtle mode switch, right? That's our first condition that we need to recognize when this condition is true. I'm going to set the logical switch up with function AND, because we have two things that need to be true. I need to be armed and holding switch SG. And V1 is going to be I am armed. I'm going to edit that, and then I'm just going to flip switch SE into the armed position. There you go. When I am armed and I'm just going to hit switch SG, which is my turtle mode switch, and SG is pressed down, then switch LO1 will become true. Okay? So I've just built logical switch LO1, and that is my start condition for when this is going to like trigger. Now, I could base the logic of this whole thing on just that one logical switch, but it wouldn't work, and I want you to fully understand why it wouldn't work. I want you to see that switch LO1 becomes true when both the switches are in the required position, and so therefore it will become false when either of the switches leaves that condition. That's not what I want. What I want is to have one condition to sort of activate the logic and a separate condition to sort of deactivate the logic. Normally the way logical switches are built is when the condition becomes true, the logical switch activates. When the condition becomes false, the logical switch deactivates. But in this case, the activate logic and the deactivate logic are two separate things. And anytime you have that situation where the activation logic and the deactivation logic are two separate things, you want what's called a sticky switch. And so we're going to go to LO2, and the function is going to be sticky. And the way a sticky switch works is you have an activation condition and a deactivation condition, and they're separate. So sticky switch V1 is going to be the activation condition, and that is going to be LO1. And the simplest way to get to switch LO1, you could scroll through the menu, but it takes forever. Just long press the jog wheel, go down to logical switches, and there is LO1. So we're going to activate LO2 when LO1 triggers. In other words, when we arm and hold down the turtle mode switch. So what's our deactivation condition? Well, we said we wanted to deactivate when we flip the arm switch back to the disarmed position. So that's our deactivate. So V2 is going to be the deactivation condition for the sticky switch. We will edit that, and we will flip the switch to the disarm position. And we've almost completely done what we need to do at this point. If I hold down turtle mode and arm, LO1 becomes true and LO2 becomes true, because LO2 becomes true when LO1. If I then release the switch, do you see that no matter what I do with that turtle mode switch, LO2 is holding, and LO2 will only deactivate when I disarm, and now LO2 deactivates. So now I have built that logic. The last thing that I need to do is I need to tell that the mixer what channel positions I want it to go to based on that logic. I haven't actually turned these logical switches into a channel output yet. In my modes tab, turtle mode is on aux 3. That's going to be channel 567. So I'm going to go back to the mixes screen. Oh, there it was. And I'm going to go to channel 7. I see I've already got some extra nonsense going on with channel 7 that I don't want it to confuse what we're doing here. In channel 7, I've got it set to -100, which is channel low for the default value. I've got it going to mid position when I press switch SH, and that is set up as turtle mode. And then what's going on here with SD? If I press SD, SD is the beeper. It's going to high position for SD. So I want to mess with this middle position. That's what is triggering. Turtle mode to activate. And I think the simplest way to change that is to say it's going to go to mid position. Oh, this is going to be so easy. It's going to go to mid position. So setting the channel to max means it's going to go to a fixed position, and the weight determines what position that is. 0 is the middle position, -100 is low, +100 is high. So we're setting it to mid position. When are we setting it to mid position? When this switch triggers. And currently it is set to switch SH, which was my turtle mode switch. But instead, I'm going to click Edit and long press the jog wheel and go to Logical Switches. And I'm going to tie that to LO2. So, in other words, whenever LO2 is activated, the channel will go to mid position, which here in the Modes tab, we have set to flip crash. And that should do it. Let's test it out. So, I hold down the turtle mode switch and I arm. Oh. No, something isn't right. Yes, I am in flip crash mode, but the problem is that I'm also clearly not in flip crash because the drone has armed normally. I think we have a timing issue here. What's happened is that it armed and went into flip crash at the same time, and arming needs the flip crash to be held down before the arming command goes through. How can I fix this? I got it. I know how to do this. We're going to go to the mixes screen and we're going to add another mixer line. We're going to copy this line above here. And this line is going to trigger, aha, I got this. This line's going to trigger whenever I press the turtle mode switch. Okay, so now, as soon as I press the turtle mode switch, turtle mode activates, and then when I arm, LO2 becomes active. Does that make sense? So we have two mixer lines, both of which trigger turtle mode. One of them is tied to the pressing of the switch, and then one of them is tied to the logical switch. The idea is that turtle mode will activate as soon as I press the switch, and then after I arm, the logical switch will keep it activated until I disarm. And then the behavior is perfect, right? Let's test it. Mode step, switch SG, turtle mode activates, arm, turtle mode stays activated until disarm. Yes, that is the desired behavior. Let's test it on the actual drone. All right, so arm normally. Good to go. Turtle mode. Arm turtle mode. Nothing happens. Release the switch. Still in turtle mode. Still good. And disarm. There we go. We did it. And that is how you build a logical switch to fix something weird that Betaflight did that you were counting on. You are not beholden to the whims of the Betaflight devs. You can do whatever you want. Did you like this video? You watched it all the way to the end, so you must have liked it. I'm going to tell you where you can get a lot more videos like this about EdgeTX programming. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you about my Patreon. Patreon is a website where you can subscribe to me. It's the major way that I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing. The other major way is YouTube ad revenue, which, right? Who knows? Patreon, I can count on. I can count on you to throw $2. $2 a month is the minimum amount to throw that my way. And when enough people do that, it adds up to literally enough for me to live off of. If you watch my content, if it benefits you, if you learn from it, if it helps you solve problems, then please think about joining up. If you want to, the link is down below. And if you don't want to, here's where you can go keep watching more of my content so that hopefully someday you will decide that I'm worth it. The place I'm going to send you is my EdgeTX playlist. I have a playlist all about EdgeTX, which is the operating system running on this radio. And it, like, all of the setup guides, everything from basic setup 101 to advanced programming, and even more than what you saw me doing here. Here it is. There's a card on screen and a link in the video description below. Enjoy.